Yep. I thought I was talking this whole time. I thought I was talking to y'all. I wasn't even talking. Y'all didn't even hear me. Yeah, it's been a day. It's been a day. I do apologize for my lateness, guys. I was having some sound issues and some technicalities, but we are here back on the Love Talk podcast. Thank you all so much for joining me. Okay, let's do this over because y'all missed everything I said. My fault. Miss Janaea, my co-host, she will not be here with us today. She is currently out. She is sick, so I want y'all to keep her in your prayers. She's sick, so she won't be here with us today, but she'll be with us back next week. Also, I want to give a shout out to Miss Kia, my guest moderator who's been holding us down for the past 2 weeks. Past 2 weeks, Miss Kia has been holding us down and coming through as moderator. When y'all come in, make sure y'all drop some purple hearts, put them in the comments, say hello, so I can say hi back. Also, I want to give a shout out to the host of Whatever Talk, who Miss Queen Unique was actually a guest on, and Janaea was also a guest on the Whatever Talk. Give a shout out to him. You can find him on Spotify. So from today's intro, we have Miss Dayna Hudson, who is going to be joining us today on the Love Talk podcast. Make sure y'all come in, drop those purple hearts in the comments, say hello so we can say hi back. Say hello so we can say hi back. Drop those purple hearts in the comments. Let me know that you're here. And so today we're going to be talking about 15 years of love making, 15 years of love making and making it work. How to make and sustain a marriage for 15 years. A lot of y'all know, you've been rocking out with me for a while, you know this. I was married for 9 years. 9 years. And it was tough. So anybody making it to 15, congratulations to you. you deserve an award. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go ahead and bring Miss Dayna up to stage. How are you?
Good evening. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Hi, good evening. Yes, and thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Appreciate you for coming here. Sorry, girl, it took me a while I
I
was having
definitely.
all kind of technical problems today. All type of technical problems today. So how are you doing?
I am doing good. I'm excited to be on this platform and just share a little bit about my story. So thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to have you here, y'all. This was so weird. Like we literally, I think we were both like a part of this group. I think we're both a part of this group. And I said I'm looking for people to come on my podcast, and we followed each other. She was like, "Oh, I like to talk. Cool, perfect. What are we gonna talk about?" She said 15 years married. I said, well, shoot, that's what we doing. That's what we talking about.
Because you were looking for singers, and I'm like, I can't
Yeah, I was
sing.
looking for singers. Yeah.
I can't sing when I talk.
You can talk. And that works. That works for me. Yeah, we actually just ended our Valentine week special, and I was looking for singers for that special, and it actually turned out really, really well. But when you said 15 years of marriage, I was like, yeah, let's get her on, and let's see if we can help some people who's struggling to get to 5 years, 10 years, things like that. I barely made it the time that I did. Marriage is not for the weak. It is not for the weak. And so, first, I want to go ahead and just ask a question about how did you and your spouse meet?
So, we have actually been together for 22 years. We met. It was very funny story. We met through I guess you could say a mutual friend. We're 80s babies.
Mm-hmm.
Fresh out of high school, he worked at KFC. I had a girlfriend who was working at KFC at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and she says, "Hey, I got this coworker. He wants me to braid his hair, but I don't want to be by myself with him. Can you come along?" And so I said, "Sure, I'll come along." And we got off the bus, and he got off the bus, and I remember just looking at him from the moment he got off that bus, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
just stuck, girl. Like, is this the dude? And so, like, the whole time we were at the location braiding his hair, he was not paying me no mind. He didn't look my way, anything, And so I'm not gonna lie, I was a little cocky, like, this dude ain't even look at me,
Right, right.
like what is going on? So after she was done, he paid, he went on about his way. And I remember telling her, like, I really like him. Girl, we left the house, and I think I must have blindly followed this guy halfway down the block.
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend, she calls my name. She's like, Dayna, Dayna. I snap out of it. I turn. She's all the way at another corner. He turns around, looks at me. He said, oh, you're supposed to be following her. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Right. So I run down the street and I tell this girl, I said, I really, 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 really like him.
Mm.
So she pretty much just said, hey, you want to, call him? I got his number. So she called him right then and there, because at the time, actually, her boyfriend was good friends with that guy,
Mm-hmm.
and so they called him right then and there. And I said, "Hey, I'm Dayna. I'm the girl who was just in the room. You got your hair braided." I told him, I said, "I really, really think that you're cute, and I want to know if you want to call me."
So you shot your shot first.
I
Okay.
did, and so because I am not afraid of telling women, like, because girls are like, oh, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that, and I'm like, hey, you do it or you don't do it, but there are things about me in that they really love to hear certain things, and it kind of makes it easy. So yes, it did. I shot my shot. I said, hey, give me a call, and girl, that's all I had to do, because once
Wow.
he never stopped calling.
Hmm.
That was it. We were
That
like,
was it from that point.
from that, all you had to do was just let it be known. I let it be
You put it
known that
out
I was
there.
interested, and he called me like within an hour. He called me, and we still talking, girl.
Yeah, 15 years later, and that is so awesome. Congratulations. It's beautiful. And that is very, very beautiful. Because, like I said, I was married for 9 years,
It's a lot.
and it is a lot. It
It's a
is a
lot.
lot. Marriage is work. For me, the way marriage is treated now with people, it is really, I don't think they understand the importance of covenant between husband, wife, and God. I'm Christian, by the way. And so I don't think they understand that importance. And then on top of that, you have so many people who kind of play with marriage like it's just a game, like it's a
Yes,
joke. It's not a break up and get back together. It's not a boyfriend and girlfriend thing. If you're in it, you're going to be in it.
definitely,
You're
definitely.
going to be in it. And so, what made you guys decide, okay, this is it? We're going to jump in and do this?
You know what? So, I'm going straight up. I never want to get married,
Hmm.
right? Which is the funny thing about my story. I was never a girl who wanted to get married. I never grew up seeing any successful marriages throughout my whole childhood. I had
Hmm.
family members who were married, but they were divorced. And I was just pretty much raised and came up around a lot of just strong black women, you know.
Hmm.
So for me, I was never afraid to be a mom because I
Hmm.
felt like, oh, I could do that. Um, I
Right.
I grew up watching women be moms all day. I could do, but marriage was something that I just didn't want to do. I was afraid of what it would look like if I needed to get out of it. I
Hmm.
was afraid of the idea of having to be, because you think about when with your kids, I'll be responsible for my kids, but I just couldn't fathom the idea of being all for another person, like like an adult, like a man. I just couldn't think about it. I just didn't want to do it.
Hmm.
And he proposed 3 times.
Wow.
Because, like I said, we've been together for 22 years, but only married for 15. So
Wow.
we were together 7 years before I said yes. Within that 7 year span, he proposed 3 times. And
Wow.
each time it was never like a no, no. It was more just like a, oh, kind of like a, I'm not ready kind of thing.
Hmm.
And he never gave me any like slack for it. Like he never was like, you see some dudes that are like these shows or like on posts, they'll be like, oh, if I propose and she says no, it's over. That was never it with him. It was just like a, well, better luck next time, because we
Right.
had a child 2 years into our relationship.
Hmm.
So after by our second year together, I had got pregnant. We have 4 girls in total now. But I
Wow.
had all girls.
Wow.
All girls. So we had the first girl, and then by the time I got pregnant with our second daughter, at this point I was about 23, 24 years old. My
Hmm.
mom, who's very old school, was the one who said, you need to get married, Dayna. She was
Hmm.
like, she's like, if this guy is, he seems like a great guy. He's very family oriented. He's always just been a great dad. And he's always just really been, like by your side since day one. Because the first 2 years before we had our first baby, we ran the streets like best friends. We were 18 and 19 years old, not
Okay.
a care in the world. So by the time I got pregnant with the second daughter, we were like in our mid 20s, 24, 25. And my mom was really like, you need to get married.
Hmm.
She said something. She said, it's something that your children deserve to have. And she always says, like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least you tried.
Right.
And so that really, and that's pretty much how we got married. My mom told, and I value my mom's opinion wholeheartedly because I'm
Hmm.
thinking like if it means that much to her, that I get married, then I'm going to go ahead and put on my big girl pants.
Go
And
ahead and do it.
by the third time he proposed, I said yes. So we were actually expecting the second child by then. I wanted this big lavish wedding, but being pregnant and thinking about a wedding, we ended up going to the courthouse, girl. So that's why, it's funny because I tell people about that too. Like, people spend all this money on these weddings and they don't really last. And,
Mm-mm.
we ended up going, because I'm thinking like, oh, I don't want to go to the courthouse, but I had a family member who had a justice of the peace wedding. And so she said, just give them a call. So I called actually, and I
Hmm.
started asking them questions, well, hey, can I decorate? And hey, can I have as many people as you want? And to me, it just sounded perfect. They said, yeah, you can have as many people as you want. You can bring decorations into the courthouse.
Oh
So
wow. Hmm.
all for free.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, cool. So I had a color scheme. I had ladies wear cream, guys wear brown. My family brought decorations in. I had a cousin who made a broom, and we showed up at the courthouse. Girl, I was late. We was about an hour or two late. It was just a crazy, crazy day. But the judge waited on us, and it was actually Valentine's Day that we chose, which was very cliche, but I chose Valentine's Day because we wanted to kind of get it done before the baby was coming. And when I was on the phone with the courthouse, and they said, well, you can pick your day. And Valentine's Day was like 2, maybe 3 weeks out. And
Mhm.
I just said, what about Valentine's Day? And they said, well, that's perfect. It's going to be a lot of weddings there, girl. I said, okay, cool. So that's pretty much how everything started with us. We got married. At the time, we had our oldest daughter who was almost 5,
Mhm.
and the baby was about 6 weeks old, and I dressed them in like little hearts and roses, and me and him had on, we were dressed in our wedding attire, and we jumped the broom and we got married at a courthouse, and that was 15 years ago. So
Wow.
so since then we have had 2 more girls, all girls.
Mhm.
So it has definitely been a roller coaster.
Yeah,
I want people to know it is not for the weak.
it
Being
is
married
not.
is something that you have to wake up every single day and choose your partner as your person.
Mhm.
And ultimately, the way I have learned throughout this journey, because I mean, we started young, 18, 19 years old. So of
Mhm.
course we have had many ups and downs.
Yeah.
We went through growing pains. We went through, learning each other. Things kind of changed. I had this idea about marriage. My husband had his own idea about marriage.
Mhm.
One thing that we got through when we first got married, he always used to say, "You're supposed to be my wife," and that was something that was hard to work through. It took time because this is something that I was afraid of, because
Mm.
he had these expectations of in his head what his wife was supposed to be like, and
Mhm.
but I had to tell him that's not me.
Mhm.
And so over the years we have, but and him too, him as a husband, there were things that I'm expecting, well, my husband should be like this, or my husband should be like, you're my husband, so you should be like this. And girl, after all these years, we have learned that's it. Take the title away. That's
Yeah.
Dayna. That's Dayna. Yes, she's my wife, but that's Dayna. His name is Nail. Yes, he's my husband, but he's Nail. We
Mhm.
had to learn how to accept each other as who the other person was. And so, there was a period where, we were putting the kids first and things like that. So we've learned over these past 15 years of being married to really just focus in and come back, because I always say that I love my husband now more than I did 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And that is because of the work that he has done. I like to, spread love and talk about marriage. And I really love to ultimately brag about my relationship, because we have done a lot of work.
Mhm.
What you see is what you get. We don't fake it till, we don't fake the love. My
Mhm.
husband is who he is. I'm who I am, and we ultimately really do still love and care for each other. Our girls, I really like that our girls get to see, how much mom is affectionate with dad, and how dad is
Yeah.
affectionate
Yeah.
with mom, and we're not like in the house in 2 different corners and things like that. No, I really, really, like I said, my husband is my person. I want to grow old with this person. I put him first above everything. Honestly, when I cook, it's for my husband. Like if my
Mhm.
kids come in and things like that, yeah, they're gonna eat too. But oftentimes they might not want this or they might not want that. So when I'm cooking dinner, it's for my husband. Period.
Mhm.
He's a
Mhm.
hardworking man. Like if he was here now, I would have brought him in. But he's in construction. He works late nights. He have his own projects and things like that. So I know he'll be going all day without a meal. I want to make sure when he comes in, there's a
It's
hot
good.
meal.
Mhm.
I get up and I make his lunches in the morning. These are things that I didn't used to do, but
Mhm.
I realize that this is the you supposed to be my wife aspect of,
Mhm.
aspect of the job. And so there are a lot of things that I feel like women don't want to do. I have this girl that I know, and she was just, just talking about, well, she don't have time for, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that. And I'm
Mhm.
like, you need time. You really need to take the time, to have to grow with someone and really just put that energy in. And something that actually my husband aunt told me years ago. She said to me, and she's a God-fearing woman. She told me, "Don't focus on the kind of husband that he is. Focus on the kind of wife that you are."
Excuse me.
And
Mhm.
that really stuck with me
Mhm.
because, and this was that we were younger. This was maybe 10 years ago, and I really just took that to heart because
That's sound advice. That's
it,
really
it
sound advice.
changed it changed how I was moving. It
Mhm.
changed the whole energy of, well, you didn't do this, so I'm not doing that. Kind of a, oh well,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
instead of me looking at it like that, I ultimately did start to just be the kind of wife that I would be to anybody,
Mhm.
period. No matter who it is, no matter who it was, if you the kind of wife that you want to be, or be the change you want to see in the world, give out the energy that you want to have. I started doing these certain things. I
Mhm.
make sure that he's good. I talk to him nice, and ultimately it did shift with how the energy and how we were. Because there was a really rough time
Mhm.
our marriage. In the past 22 years, there's a time where I wanted to leave and he didn't. There was a time
Mhm.
where he wanted to leave and I didn't. And one of the
Mhm.
things that has kept us together is that we never want to leave at the same time. So God blessed us with that because we're both fighters. When I wanted to go, he would not let me.
Mhm.
And then taking that same energy when he decided that he just couldn't take it no more, I didn't give up.
Mhm.
And so, people will say, have you guys did counseling? Actually, no, we have never did any kind of formal counseling or anything like that. I think the love and respect that we have for each other has always really just made us take the time out to sit down and listen to
Mhm.
our person. And and so here we are. At this point in my life, I see myself, there's nothing, I'm not going nowhere. I feel like
Right.
I tell my husband, like, I'm not going nowhere. This is it. So same with him, because I'm like, if this was something that, and we reevaluate, because I'll be like, oh well, if this is something that you might want to change, or do you feel like, you're I ask him, are you tired of me? He'd be like, not yet. So okay, cool. So but it is a lot. It really is it's a mindful thing every single day. There are times when my husband frustrates the mess out of me. I know there are times when I probably frustrate the mess out of him,
Mhm.
but I ultimately try to figure out how I can, think about what I'm gonna say without just saying it in a way that's gonna create a bigger issue, at
Mhm.
this point, and that is huge. So yeah, girl, but it's a blessing to still be here. I tell people, 6 months a year, you've completed a year. I literally live my life every 6 months.
Mhm.
6 months, because you never know what changes. Things
Right.
change within a year, things change within 6 months. In the past few years, I've been able to, pretty much plan out my year so I can foresee certain things that are coming, and you just go through the motions, and then you look up and here you are celebrating another year. You go
Mhm.
through the motions and you look up and you're celebrating another year. And I feel like, for me, it's important while we're going through those motions to still feel happy.
Mhm.
So I do want to, I'll tell him certain things like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what, because my husband isn't the romantic guy.
Right.
He's
Right.
not the romance. There's a lot of things that I could say, like when I look at, social media and things like that. Even our oldest daughter is 20 years old.
Mhm.
And she had this guy friend at the time, and she came home frustrated, and she was just mad because, oh, he doesn't plan and he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And I get it. We all would want that. You know,
Mhm.
I told her, your dad, he's not the planner guy, and I had to accept that. Like I said, there are things that, you would think, oh, this is what I want my husband to be. But that guy, he doesn't do that.
He's not that
So,
right.
he's not gonna plan, so I plan and I'll tell him where to be. I'll
Mhm.
say, hey, this is what I want to do. Hey, I want flowers. Hey, I want, things like that. And he'll come in, strolling on in. I put the word out there, he'll come strolling on in with some, some flowers or some chocolate or this or that. But
Mhm.
it's just about, that communication.
Communication,
Communication
right.
is so, 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 so important. It really
Mhm.
is. There was a time where I feel like there was a guard up with my husband. I could tell, over
Mhm.
the years how his guard has just, is completely broken. He's open to, expressing himself, whether it be emotionally, whether it be mentally. Because I could think back when we were 18, 19, and 20 years old, he was very closed with certain things. There were certain
Mhm.
things that he wouldn't share. There were feelings that he would, oh, hey, you seem like you're upset. Are you okay? Oh no, I'm good. Now, if he's upset, he's coming in the door,
Now you know.
let me know. Hey, babe, man, let me tell you about what happened to me. Kind of a
Mhm.
thing. And I enjoy that because I'm like, I'm his outlet. I'm his person. My husband doesn't have any friends. We don't have friends, and
Right.
we've been together since we were 18 years old. He has like one coworker that he goes to hang out with, maybe once a month, and they'll have like drinks at his friend's house and stuff like that. I have like family members that I hang out with, but ultimately I don't have friends. He doesn't
Mhm.
have friends. Like we have each other, and and it has really been a blessing and a curse to me because sometimes you're like, man, girls' night would be great, something like that, but
Mhm.
it is what it is. I got a husband, so he'll listen.
Right. Right.
We'll have drinks here, and and he'll listen if I really say, "Hey, I really got some things on my mind," and he'll listen and things like that. So we have definitely, just really just been each other's partner in each other's corner all these years. So I feel blessed because this man would do anything for me, and I feel I've been a stay at home mom. And so
Mhm.
there's a lot that I feel like, I don't bring money to the table and things like that. So I always just try to make sure, that I'm doing the best I can here in the home. When he comes home, I want to make sure he's comfortable and things like that, and just peaceful here. So there has been times where I'm like, man, I don't bring no money in, I want to be
And I want to
frustrated.
touch on that too. It's funny that you
Yes,
say that.
ma'am. Go
Before we
ahead.
get there, though, I I was that person. I never wanted to get married. I didn't want to get
Mhm.
married. I didn't want kids. I didn't want none of that. But I was also a person too where I stayed in a relationship. There was never, this is the longest since my divorce, I have been single. And so I stayed in a relationship. I was always with someone. I got married when I was 21. I was
Mhm.
in college. I literally went from like, I was already in a whole relationship. And then I
Mhm.
met my now ex-husband. And because that current boyfriend had went to jail, and I was like, you know what, this is our second go around. Like, bye. I broke us up. He didn't know we were broke up till he got out of jail. And so and so and so with that, then I literally met my ex-husband. I think it was like in September. I think it was September of 2010, either September, October, and we got married in January of 2011. He's in the service, and we knew that we wanted to be married before he left for Afghanistan. And so it was like I was really young, but I had no concept really of what marriage was. And
Mhm.
I didn't want to get married, but I was like, well, shoot, I didn't done everything else. Let's see how this goes. But you
Mhm.
really don't know until you get in it. You don't understand what it is. I was in college. I knew I wanted to be this independent woman, take care of myself, all those different things like that. And then here I get this man, and he's like, I want to take care of you. I want you to take a break. I want you to be a stay at home wife. When we have kids, I want you to be a stay at home, mom. And I'm like, I want kids.
Mhm.
I do not want kids. And I said, well, I understand compromise. I said, let's try for one. So after my ex husband came back from his deployment, we had one child who was my oldest. He's 11. And I love it. I absolutely love, love, love being a mother. I know we now have three children. And so I
Mhm.
haven't, well, he'll be 11 on in April, and then my daughter will be 10 in March, and my youngest one will be 9 in September. So we had them back to back.
Mhm.
I absolutely love being a mother. I absolutely love being a mother. It was awesome. But when people find out that I was a stay at home mother and a wife, people almost shame women for taking care of their homes.
Mhm.
And for me, that's really sad to think that there are a group of people out there that think, and it's mostly other women, who believe that, well, if you're taking care of your home, what if something happened where he just wanted to leave? And what are you left with? I
Mhm.
can't tell you how much I hear that. And I
Yes.
understand working. And if you want to be a mom who works and a wife who works, and that's the mutual understanding between husband and wife, then I mean, go for it. If he
Mhm.
don't care, then go for it. Do what you do. I don't think it should be hate or dislike or negativity from either side. And so, what are your thoughts on that? Have you heard anything similar to that?
Um, of course, I have heard the token. Well, what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
If it's always the what are you gonna do if he leaves? If he
Mm-hmm.
leaves, you have nothing.
Right.
Um, for me, when we got married and started to have kids, I grew up where nobody went to daycare. There was always, grandma or somebody
Right.
that
Right.
took care of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we started having kids, I told my husband straight up, hey, I want to be able to stay home. This is what I
Mm-hmm.
said. I want to be able to stay home because if I have to work a full-time job and
You're
then
waking to pay for daycare.
yeah, and then at the time, daycare wasn't even as much as it is now. But
Yeah.
my idea was if I have to if I have to leave the house to go to work and work a 4 hour shift, 8 hour shift, however long I'm leaving, and then come home and still have to tend to you and the kids,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it just sounded exhausting, right?
Yeah. It is
It just
very
sounded like
exhausting.
it was
Yeah.
too much. And I told him I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to do
Mm-hmm.
that. So for me, I've been a stay at home mom since day one. Now, in the past 22 years, yes, I have worked. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that I have just been at home. I'm
Mm-hmm.
currently in school now because I do think about when we're older or when I am done raising my kids, what do
Right.
I want to do? I do. I always try to stay two steps ahead. So so I said, okay, well, I'll go back to school or things like that. Our kids have gaps. So I didn't want them back to back because
Mm-hmm.
after having the first baby, I'm like, well, this is a lot. Kids need, they need mom, they need their time. So there is 5 years between one and two. There's 8 years between two and three. And then we have a 7 month old now. And so there's another 7 years between three and
Mm-hmm.
four. So between those times, where my kid would, get old enough to go to school and things like that, I did, go work a small part-time job or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
get out the house, have some money in my pocket. But we planned all our kids. So when we decide, okay, we want to have another baby, I leave my job and I go back home, which is the
Mm-hmm.
luxury of being able to do that. It is a lot though, because you do hear, oh, I need my money. Oh, I need, I can't live off no man. I
Why do you
can't,
think it's so much negativity from other people as it concerns that? And it mostly seems to come from women.
you know
Most
what,
men
honestly,
are providers by nature.
most
And a
men want
lot
to
of
do.
yeah, a lot of men will. They will if they've made you their wife. A lot of men that I have talked to
Mhm.
personally are like, no, if I'm making this woman my wife, I want to make sure that my wife is good. So if my wife needs time or want time to stay at home, to take care of our family, to do this, I can hold us down. Why do you think it's so much negativity from other women?
You know what? I think it is because number one, they have not experienced a marriage where number one, I would say they haven't been married. So you
Right.
start there. They
Right.
haven't been married. And then you take the ones who say, "Oh, I was married and I couldn't do it." Well, I feel like that was because the partner that they had did not make the environment comfortable for them to
Mm.
want to live at home. Because you do have, some men who are like, "Oh, well, this is my, I'm paying the bills, and this is, this is it's my way or the highway," and
Mhm.
things like that. So
Right.
I
Right.
feel like that ultimately you take the women, you take the half of the women who have never been married. So for them, just the idea of, oh, having to ask somebody for some money. I don't want to have
Mhm.
to ask no man for no money. That is what I hear. I don't want to ask,
Right.
and so well, they don't know what it's like. And then you have the ones who are married or were married, and maybe they were begging their husbands for money and they didn't like that
Mhm.
feeling,
Right.
because I can understand as a woman who wants to be asking. I'm not
Right.
even gonna say that I haven't been, through that a little bit in my relationship. These are some things that, like I said, my husband and I have broken down and built back up.
Mhm.
So there were times where, early on where, he was making the money and I'm at home with the kids and, and I'm just at home like depressed because, I can't get my nails done or certain
Mhm.
things like that, or, or just having, some money in my pocket. And so there
Right.
was a conversation. Communication is key. That was a
Right.
conversation that had to
Right.
be had because I had to let him know I don't like this. I
Right.
don't like this feeling. And
Right.
though, and
I
there
want
were
to still take care of me.
yeah, I still want to take care of me. I don't want to have to ask you because that around that point is when I did say, "Hey, I'll go to work," because I
Mhm.
always let him know, if I go to work, we still have 2 kids or 3 kids or however many kids at the time. We still have these
Mhm.
kids, and so what does that schedule look like? Because
Mhm.
I don't think it's fair for me to, have to work. Now I'm going to work to, to make money. And am I the one that's solely paying for childcare? Or,
Mhm.
am I the one who's solely responsible for the pickups and the drop off? I
Mhm.
have allowed my husband the space and opportunity to grow in his career because he's never had to worry about picking up and dropping off. If he's off, cool.
Right.
If he's home, yeah, he'll go. That he loves actually being able to do those things when he's off. But if
Mhm.
he's off, he has a really busy schedule as a contractor. So there are lots of mornings he's gone at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. He don't get off till 6 o'clock or something. The schedule is
Right.
all on me with the kids.
Right.
So I
Right.
would think about as far as if I'm the one if I'm working, are you gonna take off or are you gonna leave work early so you can
Mhm.
pick them up or so there are conversations that had to be had with this whole working thing because it's
Right.
not easy. We have had times where I'm like, I don't have no money, but I don't want to be asking you because if I ask you for some money, you might tell me you don't got it or something like. And
Mhm.
I do feel like with women, that hurts. For like, well, I don't have no money, so let me ask him. We would want them to just be giving it, right? We want
Right.
them to just be able to dish it out and say, hey, in the perfect world, you see the men on TV, or you see some of these podcasts where the guys will show that they're doing everything right. They're doing the cooking, they're doing the cleaning, they coming in bringing money, they doing this, they doing that. Everything ain't
You're
always
right. The perfect
like
world.
that's a perfect world.
Right.
I see it all on TikTok, with men recording themselves, they talking about how their wives are living in this soft woman era and he cooking, he cleaning, he working, he leaving money on the dresser, and you got all the women in the comments, ooh, ah,
Not really understanding what marriage truly is.
because that's not realistic, honestly.
Right.
That's not realistic.
Right.
That's it sounds good, and he might do those things sometimes.
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 Right.
But
Right.
you can't say, like I'm not gonna say in 22 years, yeah, my husband. No,
And
sometimes,
he
yeah,
won't.
and
Mhm.
over the past 22 years, like I said, I love him so much now because it has taken so much time to really just say, hey, this is this, that is
Right.
that, this is what I'm
And
expecting.
trust him with that.
It takes time. It
Right.
really does. It takes time for certain things to get to where you're like, and I feel like a lot of times people, they break down because there are hard patches in marriage, and people get to that place where you like, I am fed. up. I
Mhm.
cannot do this,
Mhm.
and you really don't think about, what may be on the other side of that rainbow or the other
Mhm.
side of that cloud or storm.
Before they're ready to just throw in
You
the
know,
towel.
and so, yeah, so definitely, I feel like when women do say things as far as, like, oh, I can't do it. I don't know how you do it, things like that. Oh, I'd rather be at work. I hear that all the time about, oh, I love my kids, but I'd rather be at work,
Mhm.
and yeah, it is easier at work. I've
Right.
been at
Than
work.
being a full time
It
stay at
is
home
easier.
mother and wife. Right. But
It
that
is
is its own
easier at
separate
work.
job. And I don't believe that in my personal experience, especially because right, my like I said, my ex husband he's in the service,
Yeah.
and most of these spouses, whether if you were married to a woman in the service or you were married to a man in service, are stay at home
Mm-hmm.
parents. They're stay at
Mm-hmm.
home parents. They're stay at home spouses, especially for women. You don't see it too often with the men who are married to service members because they will go and they will get jobs,
Mm-hmm.
But they're at home, they're taking care of their children. And I'm like, I don't think y'all understand. This is a full time job because
Never
I'm
ends.
mommy all day, and then the rest of the day I'm wife. And then somewhere between, I got to be friend, and I got to be nurse, and I got to be daughter to my parents. And I have to meet and show up for all these different things. I
That's
don't think it's really appreciated on how many hats that stay at home moms wear. And with that again comes the negativity. If you rather be that mother who works, be that mom who works. If you can
period.
swing it, swing it. If there
Mhm.
is a communication between you and your spouse that that's what you guys want to do, then do that. But don't go and rain on the parade of the mothers who chose to stay at home. I
Mhm.
didn't want to be a stay-at-home wife and mom. My ex-husband came and asked me, and I was like, okay, you tripping. And then he hit me with, I just want to take care of you. And I'm like, well, shoot, I do want to be taken care of a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, see, I do kind of want to stay home,
I mean,
right?
I do stay home. He's like, I don't, you can make money if you want to, but this is
Mm-hmm.
not a requirement. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to take care of you, and I want you to make sure that you're good. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, cool. And that's what I had been. Now, I didn't know we would end a divorce. That wasn't the plan, but that's just what happened. But
Mm-hmm.
that whole time, I took care of my home, my house, my kids, my husband, made sure that he was eating, everything was good when he came home, sex and being friends and going on dates and still doing all these things. And I love that for people who can do that, for women who can do that. Now, if you,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you're that woman who wants to work and you rather be out the home, then I love that for you too. It just seems that it seems to be more negativity for women who do choose to stay at home and be a homemaker and take care of their home than it
Mm-hmm.
is for the women who choose to go out and still pursue their career with their family anyway.
It is a lot. Like I said, we do have four daughters, and a conversation. The two oldest are 20 and 15, and
Hmm.
so I have conversations with them now. I'll say, hey, do you like the 20-year old? She's dating and things like that. Do you want to be married? Even the 15. We having our conversations and we're talking about guys and relationships and things like
Hmm.
that. Do you want to be married? Yes, mama, I do want to be married. And so I want them to understand that there are levels to being
Right.
married. There are levels to being
There's
married.
levels.
And what I know from my personal experience, like I said, through working at times or being a stay-at-home mom, is you can't do both at the same time.
Right.
Okay. You cannot be a career woman and a full-time wife at the same time. It's not gonna work.
No, because you
It's
have to tend to that. You still have to water that marriage. You still have to
you
water that. I don't
you
think people
have to.
truly understand that your family is your ministry. And
Yes.
that's one thing I stand on wholeheartedly. Your
Yes.
family is your ministry. Your children are your ministry.
Yes.
God is trusting you to lead his people. Your
That's right.
children are his people.
That's
And so for me, that's it's just funny that you said that because people really believe that okay, well, I can go and I can go to college and have a career and have kids and do all of this at the same time. There's not enough hours in one day
yeah.
for a lot of things that we have to get done, yet
Yeah.
alone to be able to pursue all of those things and still have some type of sanity at the end of it all.
That's right. You can't do them both at the same time. And so
Right.
what I teach my girls is education is important. And so
Right.
I would want them. I tell them like the 20-year-old now, get your education, get your degree, get it out the way. You
Mhm.
know, and if you do meet a partner, I pray to God that He can allow you the opportunity to stay home.
Mhm.
Because I know women in all walks of life, all different fields, and what they'll say is, oh, that, well, what do you do? I'm a stay-at-home mom. Girl, that's my dream job. I had doctors tell
Girl,
me,
look, I'm trying to tell you.
I had doctors tell me that. I was out
Mhm.
having some drinks with some family members one time, and they had some of their girlfriends, and we're just standing around talking. It took me time to actually not be insecure about
About
being a
that.
stay-at-home
Yep.
mom.
Same for
Because
me.
you'll be
Yeah.
around all these women who are, they're successful, and they have their businesses, and they have their careers, and they got their education. And then, there's me standing onto the side like, oh, well, I had to stop saying I'm just a
I'm
stay-at-home
just.
mom.
Yep.
And so now at my big age, like I said, 15 years married, 22 years in this relationship, I say with my chest out, I'm a stay-at-home wife and mother. And
Mhm.
I've had physicians say, "Oh, girl, that's my dream job." Like I wish
I can get this light right. I'm listening.
they'll be like, "Girl, I wish I could just stay at home and take care of my baby." Because I know women who, who they'll have a baby, and then the job will demand you to come back in 6 weeks and 8 weeks, and as a woman, you want to be at home with your
You're
baby.
gonna be at home with your new baby,
Be at home
right?
with your new baby.
Hey,
For me,
Nico.
I never wanted to have anybody raise my kids besides me.
Right.
That was something else. That was just these are just, some of the old school values that I had from, from me growing up.
Right.
Nobody raised us but family.
Mhm.
And so for me, I'm like, I just want to raise my kids. I made a lot of sacrifices, for, I'm not materialistic, so I don't have to have the best. My nails don't have to be done every week,
Mhm.
and I don't have to have my hair done all the time, and I don't need to be going shopping and eating out and this, that. I made those sacrifices so I could be able to stay at home. Because
Mhm.
what people feel like, especially out here, the conversation, well, you need a two-income household now.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. Oh, you need a two-income household. Oh, you need a two-income household. You really don't. It really just depends on
On your
your
cutbacks and your communication.
what you guys are spending your money on.
Mhm.
Now as a female, if you have to have your hair done all the time, if you have to have your nails done, lashes, this, that, if you have to, be able to eat out with the girls and have drinks, yes, all of that stuff costs. And
Mhm.
so with one income, no, it probably won't work.
Mhm.
It probably won't, because if he's paying all the bills and making sure there's food in the house and things like that, no, it might not be extra couple $100 just for you to go to the bar with the girls or go to lunch with the girls. So I feel like, some women in their mind, they can't fathom not having that though. They make it seem, they ultimately feel like it's depressing to just be at home.
To
And
be
I,
at home. Right.
like it's just so oh, I don't want to be at home. It's so depressing. But like I said, I've taken classes. I do things, to fulfill myself in my time, classes with the baby. I'll set up stuff for me to do, when he comes home, and maybe, figure out how to, maybe I might find a class that's not too much and say, hey, I want to go take this class. It's after 6 o'clock. When he comes home and he can take over, you find ways to do stuff
To
for
make it
you,
work.
to make it work. And so that is ultimately what I have done. I'm not going to say I haven't been, exhausted or tired with it all, because yeah, it comes with the territory. It is exhausting.
Mhm.
Like I said, I just had my fourth baby, 7 months ago. So
Mhm.
having, her and start, I'm doing pickups and drop offs, and,
Mhm.
taking the oldest back and forth from school and work, and, things like that. A high schooler, she's got a schedule. My second grader has a schedule. I'm lugging the baby around, I'm not a spring chicken no more, so you gotta take that into consideration. I'm not in my 20s no more. So, I'm slowing down a little bit myself too. So it does take a toll, but like I said, I try to find ways to say, hey, okay, this is what I want to do for me. And
to make it
to
right.
make it work, and I tell that to my husband. One thing that has kept us together is because, like I tell my daughters or anybody else, is I feel like a relationship is like a basketball game. I always use this analogy. I'll say, you have the ball, you speak your truth, you say what's on your mind, you say what you need to say, and then you give the ball back to him to see what he's gonna do with it. And so I always, I tell my girls or my mom or whoever I'm talking to, if he had him, when he got the ball, if he had have dropped it, we probably wouldn't have been together. But because when I give him the ball, he'll ultimately give me something back that I'm asking for. And so, okay, we're gonna keep going. If I say, hey, I want flowers, because say there was a year where I'm just like, because in the beginning I used to be like, I don't want flowers, that's a waste of money. When we were younger, he would buy flowers, and I would say, well, that's a waste of money because we didn't have a lot of money. So I would say, we don't have a lot of money, you don't have to buy me no flowers. Well, then you fast forward 10 years, and I'm like, well, I want flowers now.
I want
I want
flowers.
flowers. I want flowers, so I had to say, hey, I like flowers. And he's like, well, I thought you didn't want flowers. I'm like, well, I want them now, And so had he had have been like, well, I'm not buying flowers, things like that, I'm not doing that now, then it would have made me feel away, and it would be time to reevaluate, because that's how I feel. Your person has to be worth it. I don't never tell anybody to just stick into a marriage or a relationship with somebody who's not worth it. You got to be getting something out the deal to make you have to be getting something to make you internally satisfied. I don't have to have everything in the world, but I have to have enough to make me feel fulfilled in this position that I'm playing, in this role that I have. And so that is what he has done for me. He has given me that. My husband, when I met him at 18 years old, he was on his way to work, which at our age, it wasn't a lot of guys that I knew who were working, and were like really, into going to work and, and looking presentable and looking neat. I just like the way he looked from head to toe. He wasn't sagging. He didn't have on no baggy pants and nothing like that. Like, this man was dressed in his uniform, nice and neat, ready to go to work. And so that has always been something, that he has done. We've had the situation throughout our marriage where I've had to deal with him working long hours and being gone, because there was a time he's able to stay home more now because he's higher up in his career. But at the time we were younger, he was gone all the time, and I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, I'm bored. Where's your partner? I know women who have ultimately left their husbands, or you end up finding somebody else to kind of make you feel comfortable, and you look
they
up
do.
like
Yes,
cheap
they
or
do.
something like that, because you feeling lonely at home. So there are lots of things, that you have to, ultimately have a conversation with yourself and say, hey, what is this person doing? Is it me? I've had to learn to have conversations with myself, because I tell people all the time, if you can't be real with yourself and keep it 100 with yourself, you can't keep it 100 with nobody. So I'd be like, is it me? Am I the one tripping? I don't want to, be upset because this guy's gone to work 24/7, but ultimately I know what he's going for.
He's going to take care of his family,
take care of family and take care of business and things like that. So I just say, as women who feel like this position to stay at home
it's
and
easy. Baby,
it's not easy.
it's not.
It's not
It's
easy
not.
at all,
It's
but
not.
I do say that I feel like everybody should give it a shot if you have the opportunity. If
If
you
you
not
have the
have
opportunity, you
kids,
can.
if you have the opportunity, give it a shot. It's not
And
as
that's
bad.
and that's if that's something that they're interested in doing, because that's the thing. Like I said, it shouldn't be because, oh, I'm a stay at home mom and wife. Oh, you're a stay at home mom and wife, that's it's negative to
Yeah,
take care of your home, to take care of your house. It's not negative. Some women just prefer to be a homemaker. I don't want to work 9 to 5. Girl, bye.
yeah,
I want to take care of my kids in my house.
that's
I
right.
enjoy those things. I find joy in providing, for my house in that way. And so I don't think it should be negative for the women who want to go out and work, or negative for the women who choose to stay and take care of their families. There shouldn't be anything negative about that. And you shouldn't be coming back and combating what's really not an argument at all with, oh, well, it couldn't have been me. I can't be asking for no man for money, or you know what I mean? That's just, it's really insulting. It's really
Yeah,
insulting.
yeah,
um and then on top of that, if you've never done it, how do you know what you're willing to sacrifice
that's
and to
right.
compromise with?
That's
And
right.
so, that's where I stand with that. And it brings me to my next question is, do you think this feminist culture movement that is going on is kind of playing a part in the homemaker lifestyle and kind of trying to tear that down as if it is negative?
It is. I really feel I feel so sad when I hear there's so many talks about relationships all over social media now.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. It's all over the place. The podcast, the posts, the videos, it's all over the place. And you hear the conversation amongst women. It's like women and men are just not on the same page.
Mhm.
And women, I'll hear them say, "Oh, I don't want to be married," and I understand that. I
Mhm.
do understand
I
that,
was that person. I get
because
it. Right.
that was me at the time. So that's why it's funny, because I'm such an advocate for marriage.
So
In this day
yeah.
and age, I really am, because I feel like women, you're willing to have kids, but you're not willing to, put in the energy over here. Now, like I said, I was there. I do get it. And I was young. But so now I feel like in this day and age, I feel like they don't care, because they don't see, and I feel like that's why people like me, or anyone else who has been married or is married, can try to shed some positivity on the subject, because I hear women all the time saying, "Oh, I don't want to be divorced, I don't want to be cheated on.
Mhm.
Married women get cheated on every day." Well, it doesn't, they just don't want to. And so it's sad, because I feel like, at the end of the day, it's just like, we really need to figure out a way how to bring us back together, how to bring,
That's
the
very true.
men,
Very
to bring men and bring women, because men will be saying, "Oh, well, I want a wife, and I want this and I want that." And the women are like, "No, I'm not doing it. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to be a career woman," which is great. But, like I said, as far as when it comes to, if you are a married woman or a career woman who do aspire to be a wife one day, I would hope that you're gonna have to pick a side, and I really stand firm on that. You cannot do them both at the same time.
Mhm.
The grass is going to be greener wherever you water it. If you want to be a career woman, great. Go out, build your business, build, growing your education, growing your career, growing your field. You can do that. And I feel like if you don't have kids, because that is another aspect. If you don't have kids,
Yeah, that
go
plays a part.
for it. If you don't have kids and it's just you and your husband, I definitely don't see a problem with you. What is the point to stay at home? The whole stay at home aspect for me is solely around the children.
Around the kids.
That's literally what it comes down to, because like I said, I've worked and I enjoy working. I enjoy, I enjoy that aspect of leaving the house and going out, being around new people, learning new skills. My husband's in the construction field. I joined the construction trade at one point, because I'm like, hey, I could do that too. And I was
Mhm.
leaving the house in my work boots at one point. So I'm like, but everything comes back to the kids. And I feel like the big picture is how many kids are broken these days,
Mhm.
because that's what I see. I see kids out here who don't have anyone left or right. You have a lot of ultimately single parents, who, if the single parent, whether it be mom or dad or whoever it is, and these kids are ultimately raising themselves, because you got dad who might work his full-time job, or mom who's working her full-time job, and then when they leave, they have to, they want to come home and they want to change. They want to go out and have a couple drinks or something like that, And so these kids are, just kind of fending for themselves. So that, to me, that's what really comes back to the whole the kid thing. And I feel like, as far as the feminist movement, I really don't feel like women are looking at it from the kids' perspective. I feel like they're more about, kind of like how Jody's mama was. Mama got to have a life too. Kind of had that energy, like, it's not about them. I'm doing my part. I'm raising them. I'm taking care of them. And I'm out here doing my thing. And I feel like, as far as when it comes to, just women just not really, wanting to submit, because that's another thing. Oh, I can't submit.
Oh, girl, that's an argument I have had with people because they don't
I
truly
can't submit to no man.
understand.
These are all things that I've had to learn to do. Like I said, I feel, we are more in love now than we were then, because of all these things we have learned over the years that make a marriage. When we jumped in, when we got married at 24 and 25 years old, I wasn't trying to submit. I wasn't trying, we were still bumping heads, and he doing what he doing, and I'm, and whatever. If he says something and I don't like it, I'm going off about what I don't like. And it comes, and now
It's causing conflict.
it's just causing conflict,
Right.
But at 40, now we understand that's not how you talk to your person.
To other people, right.
That's not
Right.
how you don't talk. We got a disagreement all day long, but it's gonna end with a joke. It's gonna end with us laughing. It's gonna end with us, ultimately just be like, okay, I'm going in the kitchen. I'll make, you want your plate or something like that, and just, it didn't end with, me trying to storm out and go to my mama house, and him hopping in the car to go, his boy house. It don't do that. And the submitting thing is huge. I was watching like a interview earlier, and the guy was talking about, men submitting to women and women submitting to men, and ultimately it's just like a pinwheel. It just goes hand in hand. You be nice to me, and in return I'll be nice to you, and in return I'm being nice to you, and and it just keeps it going. It keeps it going. So definitely, I feel like a lot of women these days, they don't see anything worth submitting to.
They don't see anything worth submitting to,
They
right.
don't see. They don't feel like, oh, he's not worth it. And that's
Right.
why I do stand firm on, if he's not worth it, girl, move around.
Who
Because
are you? Right.
on the flip side, I tell my daughters, be a serial dater. I wouldn't necessarily
I would.
want them. Be a serial dater. I
I
don't
would.
necessarily
Yeah.
want them to just, find somebody and jump right into a
Right.
relationship
Right.
long haul.
To
Because
get
at the
to
end
know
of the day,
people.
I feel like, my oldest daughter, she always say, "Oh, mom, you and dad are goals." And I appreciate her saying that, but I'm just like, baby, live your life, because I feel like my situation is one in a million, so I don't want you all to just get caught up in, oh, I want this, and you are dealing with whatever just because you want this type of lifestyle. The person, y'all both have to be all in. It really does not. You can't do it by yourself.
Right.
I didn't make it to 15 years married and 22 years with this guy by myself. I'm
Right. It takes
not a fool.
partnership.
I wouldn't.
Right.
I'm not. I would. I was wrong. Raised by a strong Black woman. My mama left 2 husbands, so I believe in moving around. I do. I do understand. You move around when it's time to move around. But I do understand the value of, if you see something worth sticking in for. If you see
Stick
that
it out.
this man has a foundation, he's not abusive, he's not cheating, he comes home, he's loving, he takes care of his kids. Now, everybody has bad days. I'm not talking about the bad days. I'm talking about on a day-to-day basis. If this person is, ultimately doing these things, then yes, I feel like that is something worth submitting to. And we as women need to soften up
Mhm.
and and really just bring and really just be that woman that we were meant to be, that feminine side that we are. There are lots of women who are just so tough these days, and they're so strong and they're so independent, and I applaud them 100%. But then on the flip side, I know that they want to be soft. You know that you want to have somebody to come home when you come home from from that long day of work, and they pouring you your glass of champagne or your glass of wine or something, and taking your shoes off your feet and giving you a nice shoulder massage and saying, hey, how was your day? We don't want to. We're women. We don't want to have to do. We'll do it if we have to do, but we don't want to. And that's the facade that I see, with women. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And I be thinking like, girl, you is not good.
I
Like,
when
girl,
when
you
it
not to
comes
want somebody
to
rubbing them feet.
when it comes to the whole feminist movement, I I understand some of it. I do believe that it is playing a huge part in tearing up households and the structure of households and marriages, because you do have those women who are super independent. I can do it myself. I don't need a man. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like you have that. And I also get the whole, wanting to be independent, which is fine if that's what you want to do. And you find a spouse, you find a husband that say, okay, well, I don't mind that you do that, or y'all have whatever compromise you have. And if it works for you, it works for you. Again,
definitely.
like I said, I just stick with don't go and tear down women who decide to be homemakers. And
Yeah.
then when it comes to this whole soft girl era thing, well, you know what? Let me rewind, because you said something about submission. That is an argument I have with people. People think, especially these feminists, right? These feminists and this whole feminist culture
Mhm.
think submission means slave.
Mhm.
That's
Woman to
what it's
fit, right?
equivalated to when they truly don't understand what submission is.
Mhm.
Submission don't mean that this man say jump and you ask how high.
Mhm. Exactly.
And so with that is a interesting, when that topic is bring up, I get excited because I always have somebody there to combat what I'm saying, and it's usually someone who is another self-proclaimed Christian and someone who knows the Bible and things like that. Okay, if you know the Bible, then you know that the Bible does say to submit to your husband. He says to respect your husbands. He
Yep,
says, husbands, love your wife the way Christ loved the church. I
that's right.
said, and so don't come to me with you don't believe in submission and I don't want to submit to no man and I
Mhm.
ain't gonna do what no man tell me to do.
Yes.
But when I'm not giving you, I think a lot of people get offended by it. A lot of women get offended by it. And it's not so that I don't want you to be offended. I want you to be educated. I want you to be educated because
Yeah.
I was that woman. I was married where I was like, boy, bye. I ain't
Mhm.
doing nothing you tell me to do. Goodbye.
Mhm.
And that caused conflict in my marriage. That
Yep.
caused issues in my marriage. I
Yeah.
know that firsthand. I've seen that with other people. And
Yes.
so it's just simply like, if you're married and you're married to a man, you're married to someone who you love, you claim to love, I will be there for you, then what problem do you have with making sure that he's fed? You ain't doing nothing all day.
Mhm.
Make sure you got something to eat when he come home. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? You haven't done nothing all day. Do the
Mhm.
laundry.
Mhm.
And simple things like that, I don't think is really truly understood. And because it's not understood, you have all these independent women. I don't
Mhm.
need a man.
Mhm. Mhm.
They kind of put themselves in a trap already from the beginning. Why do you think so many more women are like that? Do you think it's a maybe how they were raised? Do you think, can we say it's a lot of the the feminist culture that's going on? Do you think maybe it's healing that
Yeah.
has? Why do you think that is?
I feel like healing would be a good place to start with the convo. I feel like, women, we put a lot into relationships. I feel like
Hmm.
it comes from early on what men that they had in their lives dropped the ball.
Right,
And
right.
that's what I feel like, if you've been dating since you were, a young adult, 18, 19, 20 years old, and say, by the time you're early 40s, mid 40s, you might have, a few kids,
Hmm.
maybe even a marriage that didn't work out. And so at that point in your life, you're like, I don't need no man. And I feel like that's because the men that women don't like to hear it, but this is the men that they chose dropped the ball.
Mm.
I get beat up behind that line, Shantae, with the women when you say, oh, you chose. They don't really want to take that internally in about the men that they chose. If they chose him, the men.
Hmm.
That's why I said you got to know when, when you get that ball back, what is he gonna do with the ball? If he keep
Hmm.
dropping it, but you keep staying, that's your choice. You stayed and
And
got
that
burnt
kind of
out.
goes back to this comment right here. Dantea, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a lack of accountability,
that's
really.
right. Lack of
Right. And that makes
accountability.
sense.
Definitely. Like lack of it's 100% lack of accountability. And now they're just so burnt out, to the point where they're like, well, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because
Mm.
they're not worth it. But there
Hmm.
are men that are worth it. They're worth it, but you have to know, who's worth it. And you have to know when you gotta know when to walk away. Now, a lot of times when I tell, when I'm talking, there are people who don't want to hear me because they feel like you don't know. They feel like I don't know. Well, you've
Mm.
been with him. You only been with him, so you don't know what it's like out here. This is some of the energy that I get. But I be wanting to say my husband is no different from any other man. He's a man. He's no different. I feel like it's me
Hmm.
who it's me who's different. It's
Hmm.
not him. It's me. When he dropped the ball and I walked away because there have been times when I'm like I'm out of here. I'm gone.
Hmm.
And he came back and he fixed it. And that's
Hmm.
my thing. Are you fixing it? Are we moving forward where you're not making the same mistakes? And
Right.
that's why
Right.
I applaud him now as we're entering our 40s because the mistakes that he's made over the past 22 years, he doesn't revisit those. He doesn't do that again. And that's what makes it easier to want to submit. He got to be something worth submitting to. So I'm not
Hmm.
telling women to just go out here and just submit to anybody. You don't submit to, homeboy that's standing at the corner in front of the liquor store that's trying to holler at you, with his bruise in his hand. Hey, shawty. I'm not saying submit to Buddy. I'm saying
Right.
there are some real men out here, but
Right.
honestly, women will be overlooking them for their own selfish reasons. You might say,
Hmm.
well, I don't want no guy who heavy. And you might
Overlook really good
don't
men.
want no, yeah, I don't want him. He got to have this amount of money. He got to be, because I know certain women who put their perfect guy in this bubble, and anybody outside that bubble, they not submitting to. And ultimately, they still single,
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, who are you choosing? Who are you
Right.
choosing? And then you do choose a guy who's not worth it. You choose guys who are here for a good time and not a long time. And then once you start, because one thing I talk to my girls about is we as women, we're going to develop feelings no matter who he is if you spend enough time with them. That's how I
Hmm.
see it. If you spend enough time, I don't care if he was in your mind, he was the most non-attractive person. But you
Hmm.
start hanging with him because he cool, he got a good personality. Next thing you know, a year in, you in love with him. You know what I'm saying? You love him. But I mean, is he the right one or is he not? Don't just put your time and energy anywhere is what I'm trying to say. And I do feel like a lot of times women now are just burnt out because healing needs to be had, first and foremost. We need to heal in places where the other men in our past have damaged us, in order to be able to see and open it up, be more open-minded. Like I said, a lot of these guys, men are not perfect. I used this
Right.
analogy with my sister one time, and I said, I feel like men are, they look for women who can come in, and I'm not saying be their mother, but that is ultimately what a wife is coming in his life to be. You're centering things for him. You're bringing things, you're centering things for him. A man goes from being a child to a young adult, to a grown man. A mother was always there. And so in a man's mind, the wife is supposed to be able to, like I said, bring this type of energy into their life. And a lot of times, I feel like women, we're just kind of like, oh, well, this guy doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And so we're just overlooking a lot of guys, and then you take the whole submission. Well, I'm not doing this for him, I'm not doing that, I'm not. And that goes back to like what my husband's aunt told me. Don't worry about what he's doing, because if the marriage that you have, it don't work, you still need to be a wife to a good man. You still need to know how to be a wife to a man that does deserve it. So if nothing else, why not start? When are you gonna start? A lot of times I feel like women, we don't see what it looks like to be able to submit and be there for a man, and really just kind of hold them down in a corner, and root them on,
Right.
root them
Right.
on and things like that. I told this one guy, as far as my husband, because he asked me like, how'd you guys make it so long? And I said I said something like, I tell him jokes, and I make him think that he always right, something like, something on the lines of, of that, no, if he can't lead you to the promised land, I'm not saying follow that guy, but sometimes the men do need they need a shot. They need a shot. I enjoy being my husband's person. I really do.
Right.
I feel like, he's a great guy, and I know what I can bring, and I feel like, he needs, a person. And there are so many great men out here who really just need, because we as women, we're the backbone. We are it. We are it. Relationship makes or breaks with you. It's you. It really ain't him. It really got nothing to do with him. He gonna follow you. But you need to be able to ultimately, position the relationship to where he feels like, you're worth it, and, because he'll do everything he needs to do. So I just feel like a lot of times, with a lot of women now, I feel bad for them, because I feel like a lot of the choices and things that they've made over the years have brought them to where they are now, where they're hurt. They're just hurt, and they don't see, they don't see anything. They don't see it being worth it. They feel like,
They don't
oh,
even notice that they're hurt.
all guys are the same, or, I'm not going back. I'm not doing that. I don't, like you say, that I don't need a man, women and things like that. And it, ultimately it's sad, because you know that they want somebody. Nobody, man or woman, nobody wants to be alone.
Right.
I know guys who are in their 40s now. They don't want to be by themselves. I know tons of dudes who they want a wife. They want the lifestyle where they come home and the woman is at home and they got the kids at home, or even just a woman at home. You can take the kids out the picture. They want to, people want to come home to somebody that they know is for them, and I feel like women too, whether they've been burnt out or not, they do too, but I just feel like they just don't see, it on the other side that is possible now. So, we just gonna have to keep on, trying to speak on how wonderful it is, and I love, like I always said, whether I was in this marriage or any. I'm open to always, being open, a social butterfly, love and love. I'm blessed that I've been able to, go through all my ups and downs and hurdles within this one, relationship. But it's no different than, if he was 4 or 5 guys, because I mean, in the past 22 years, he had 1 minute, he was 1 year, he was this for a cluster of years, another cluster of years, he might have been, an asshole, another, like I was watching Michelle Obama, and she was talking about how, she didn't like her husband for a whole 10 years. And I'm like, it be like that,
It be like that. It really do. It
it
really does.
really be like that. And that's the thing with marriage. You really got to choose, like, okay, I'm going to woosah, like I said, 6 months, 6 months. Hopefully by the end of this 6 months, we came through this storm, because the storm never lasts. It really don't.
Hmm.
It really never
Hmm.
lasts. And so I do feel like, as far as a lot of the ladies that's out there, that want somebody. I know I hear a lot of women that say they don't want nobody, they don't want to be married. They don't, I hear females say, I don't want to be married, but they want all of this companionship. They want, they want this. I want somebody that's for me. I want somebody I can go on dates with. I want somebody that's committed to me. But I don't want to be married to them. Well, men that's giving all of that, they want to be married. Men
They want to
be
be
want to
married.
be married. Men be wanting to be married. Yes, they do. Yes, they really do. They really do. And so, that's the thing. That's the disconnect between men and women, because women will feel like they're saying something that a guy wants to hear. They think that men want to hear, we don't have to be married and we don't have to live together, but I want all this commitment. That's not what a man want to hear. He don't want to hear that. You know, he want the commitment that when he's willing to give that commitment, he's willing to give that to his wife.
Wife, right?
He wants to give that to his wife. And so that's the conversations that are being had around relationships are just all over the place.
They are all over the place.
They all over the place, and nobody's listening to the other party. Nobody's listening, because this is the most I've seen men talk about relationships over the past few years, with the podcasts and things like that. Men are all over the place, talking and letting it be known what they want, what they expect, what they looking for. And women will be like, no,
And they don't
no,
want that.
they don't want to
Hmm.
hear it. Like you take the whole, when men say, oh, I want a natural woman. I want a natural woman. I don't want, I don't want the this and I don't want the that. And I don't want, we in this BBL era. I don't want, I
Uh,
see this video where they were going around asking women, do you think men want a BBL or natural? All the women said BBL. Then they went
which is
around and
crazy to me. It's so crazy to me because I don't get it. What makes you think that? And it's so funny you said that.
yeah.
I had a guest on last night. His name is Steven, and I asked him this very question. I said, "What do you think is going on with the whole BBL uh thing? It's just a whole trend right now. Why do you think it is that women want to go and just mutilate their bodies to
What did
be
he
more
say?
attractive for men who already found them attractive?" And his thing was is that we never asked for that.
Mm-hmm.
We never asked for that. We want you at your natural beauty. We get you want to take care of yourself or do something for yourself or feel good for yourself, but we didn't ask you to go and get a boob job or go and get a bigger booty or go and put on what he called them bat wings, the lashes. We said we didn't ask you to do all of that. you you had our attention before you did any of that.
That's their fault.
Right.
That's their fault though. Because women, we be watching what they're looking at.
What
So
they're responding to. Right.
we're responding to what we see them responding to. So men will say we never asked for it, but on the flip side, women are watching men gawking ooh and ah at the woman who got the big booty. And ultimately, we as women, we just want to be what you want. That's really what we want to be desirable to you. So if this is what I see you gawking at, then that must mean you like that. So let me go grab that real quick. So I blame that on men. And I have
I
said,
think it's more of a social media thing and it's
yeah,
a trend. really a
Yeah,
really shallow trend at that.
it
It's
is.
it's a social media thing, and then I don't blame it all on men because women have to take some accountability for their lack of insecurities.
They do.
For their lack of insecurities, because okay, you didn't have a man when you got it, and you
That's
still ain't got no
that's
man.
true. Now that's true. So when
You
you got
know
the
what I'm saying? Your
that's
body count
true.
probably went up, but you still ain't got no man.
You ain't got no man.
And
That-
so, what is it in you, with you, that needs to be fixed for
yes,
you to get right? Because a BBL and silicone in your breast and lip injections aren't it. Now, if
no,
you want to do those things for yourself, do those for yourself, but don't do it with the hopes of going to get and find a man, because that's not what all men are into. Just
yeah.
like all women aren't into men. Hmm, I can't say that, but you know what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
There's somebody for everybody. Somebody for everybody. And so, and that's my thing. There are a group of men who like, as it was put yesterday again from my guest, who like a certain group of women. There are
Yes,
other groups of men who don't care if you skinny. There's other groups of men who like BBW. There's other groups of men who like only, African chicks or white girls or whatever it is. There's groups of men, but there is somebody for everybody. But if
yes.
your reasoning for changing your body is to go and get a man. I saw something on social media and said, you dress half naked on social media and you still single. Put your clothes back on.
But yeah, everybody, all these TikToks and things like that. I seen one that was funny. They said women be naked, they want to show their cooking skills, but they walk out with their little panties on and look.
Girl, you ain't out here to do no cooking. Be honest, girl.
You
You ain't
still,
out here to do no cooking.
you still, like you saying, still, still single. I seen this one video and this chick say this. She said, women, this they, talk about, let me praise Jesus. I'm fixing to hold on, y'all. Let me get my Bible. And she came back with her Bible on in a bikini, like, so
Mockery,
it's,
just
yes. I do, I do feel like, the insecurity is there. But I do still feel like, it came from a place of wanting to be what you feel like. Now, whether it's right or wrong, it might not be right, but I do feel like it came from a place of wanting to be what you feel like they desire. Yeah, there are those who are like, I don't want that. But on the flip side, that same guy who might say he don't want it, you might see him in somebody comments though, hey baby, you look good. So it's like, if he, he'll say, oh, I don't want you to look like that. But then guys, they'll be gawking all at, the women on social media and then turn around and go get them some, skinny mini, plain Jane, whatever chick, and that's what we're not realizing. That's what we are totally like, it's totally just going over our head. Like, they don't need that. They're not looking for that. Like I heard this one guy, he say, "Can't no BBL raise my kids." Shoot, that's not what I'm looking for. You
right.
get women are talking about they want to be wives and mothers and stuff like that. You like, I ain't no BBL finna raise my kids and take my kids back and forth to school. So
Mm-hmm.
her BBL, I don't
And
care
impress him
about
at
that.
all.
It don't have
Not
nothing to do
impress
with
him
that.
at all. He's
Impressed
not
at all.
right.
And it's a battle that we are fighting by ourselves right now. I do hear a lot of chicks that say they're doing it for themselves, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't believe it. I feel like, there, if your lips are small and you get lip fillers, I feel like, yeah, the lip fillers, you're getting them because you want your lips to be more fuller. but ultimately you want them to be fuller because you want them to be more attractive to,
For somebody. Right.
for somebody, for somebody. And so that's something that we gonna have to work on as women, especially for this younger generation. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm a mother of all girls, and it is
Right.
hard right now with the culture, and how girls are looking at themselves and what they feel like. Back when I was growing up, it wasn't so much. You didn't have we didn't have access to just seeing all this grown up stuff. You wasn't able to just put yourself side by side next to a grown woman and compare yourself to her. I need that hair. I need them lashes. I need my lips like that. I need this. I need my outfit like that. I mean, you even got people. I see people when they be doing the dressing their little babies. The little babies be having almost little grown woman kind of outfits. Little
Girl,
the little skirt
were
and the
they
little
not
purse.
kids no more? Kids
They're
are not
not
kids.
kids.
And it's really sad. I was
It
actually just
is.
talking about that with a friend. I said,
See,
I
see,
said, it's kids are over sexualized now. They
they
are
are.
hypersexual. I said they know about things that they should not know about. When I was
Yep,
growing up, and don't even let you stand in the midst of a
yep.
conversation. You ain't even gotta say nothing. You can stand there and look the other way. They're gonna be like, "What you doing in grown folks' business?"
See,
Now it's they're they're almost like grooming them to become them, and they not even right.
mm-hmm,
They don't even have it together, and it's really really sad. And that takes me back to the whole thing with the healing.
mm-hmm.
You
Yep,
know, before you go, and sometimes you have we have kids before marriage. It happens. I was a product of that. My mom and dad wasn't married. It happens. But the thing is that when you have children, I believe with having a child and aging, the idea is to gain wisdom.
mm-hmm.
But people
Amen.
who age don't always get wiser. People who have children don't always get wiser.
Mm-hmm,
But I believe it is wise to think what is the best thing for this child?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What is the best move for this child? And over sexualizing your child and dressing them inappropriately, or even having conversations with your child who was just a child, they be little babies, they be babies,
Mm-hmm.
conversating with them about things that shouldn't concern them is a
Mm-hmm.
huge, huge problem.
It is.
And then these children, they grow up and they become fast, or they're doing things that when they're grown you don't agree with now. But our children are a product of us. Our
See.
children are a reflection of us. They are a product of the home that they came from. And since the mom is doing a lot more of the work, a lot more of taking care and raising the children, guess
Mm-hmm.
who's gonna get looked at first?
Right.
And there's no accountability that is
Right.
taken there when that happens. It's really, really sad. It's
See.
really, really sad. And like I said, going back to healing again, you owe it to your child to heal. If you have children, you owe it to your child to be your best self and to heal whatever it is that's causing you to act out in the way that you're doing, which then in return is reflected on your children.
Mm-hmm. You ain't never lying. You really
Yeah,
do.
you
You
you,
really
you owe
do.
it, because they don't just come out just act. Kids don't come out just lying. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Babies
Yep.
don't come out just crawling and walking.
Yep.
There's steps. There's a process to this,
Yep.
and they know what they're taught. See, there's a saying where kids know less of what they hear
Yep.
and more of what they
What
see.
they see. Yep. Yep. I've
So
told
you,
somebody up
mhm.
about kids are judgmental.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
uh, most
kids will
judgmental.
judge you, and that's why I'm like, kids will judge, especially by the time they get to a certain age, they're like,
Mhm.
how you telling me, this is that was part of my healing journey because I want to be able to practice what I was preaching.
Mhm.
I want to be able to practice what I'm preaching. I know I'm not gonna hit the bar on everything,
Right.
but there I showed damn well be trying, you know.
Trying.
'Cause,
Right.
even with the whole go to college, go to college, go to college. I'm in school now because I want to be able to say it's important. You got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, because kids be judging. I seen it. I hear
Mm-hmm.
it. You'll say, "Hey, do this, do that," and they'll look at you like, "Well, you didn't do it. you telling
Mm-hmm.
you telling me to do something, and you didn't do it." So we definitely had to, really, really work at it. This generation that's coming up now is it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. It's scary. It's scary. What these kids are
It
going
is.
through, what they're seeing. I don't know. We don't know what times are going to be like in the next 10 years. You say your youngest is 9, so at that point, your youngest will be 19.
Mm-hmm.
In years. So what is the world going to look like for that
Then.
baby? What is
Mm-hmm.
that world going to look like? What are women going to look like? What are we going to be able to bring men and women back together? And this is the most I've seen with the same sex marriages. Same sex relationships.
Child, don't get me started because my conservative self don't have a conservative audience. So.
It's just at an all-time high. It really is. It's just like at an all-time high with things like that. And I wonder, are we going to be able to, connect men and women back
Mhm.
together to where they can hear each other and ultimately want to fight, want to work it out,
Mhm.
want to do certain things, because a lot of times women are like, I don't want to be with no man. It's easier to be
For
with a
real.
woman over here, shoot. It's easier for me just to marry Sue and then
Mhm.
Sue just adopt us a baby and and keep it going like that. So, that's cool and all, but if it gets to that place and it's just so much, where does that leave? Where does that leave, generations to come, when nobody's really
I don't really
procreating,
think that's being
you know?
thought about.
No,
I don't believe that's being thought about what leaves generations to come.
yeah,
Um I'm not sure if that's something that's really being thought about. I'm
yeah.
not really, and see, that's gonna get me on a whole different tangent and we can't go there
Okay,
right
no,
now.
we're not gonna do that.
Because I am a conservative. I am a Republican, and when I bring this up being black, it's almost like, oh my gosh, damn you to hell, It's so the feedback that I get is just, it depends on who I'm talking to, really. But,
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing, a whole different topic. I don't believe, though, generations to come, the children that we have now, the ones that are being brought into the world, is something that's really being thought out.
yeah,
It's not something, because a lot of people now are on a how can I please self? How can
yeah,
I be about self?
yeah, yeah,
Me, and not considering other things and other factors. Is how
yeah,
can I be happy right now at
yeah.
this moment and not think about other people? And that is a huge problem.
It is. It is. And so my question be like, whose job is
That's
it? Is it, is bigger than, it's bigger than, because some kids don't have a healthy environment.
hmm
Some kids don't have that. I go on field trips with my little one, and you can see the kids who want love and want attention. I have kids who come up and the first time they meeting me, halfway into the trip, they're like, "Oh, can I call you auntie?
Mm.
Can you be my godmother?"
See?
Like these
hmm
kind, it's kind of like, wow, I really just take it into like everybody doesn't have, you know, positive influences at home. And so that's why, I'm not just my kid's mom, but I'm mom whenever I'm around, anybody's children. They get the same kind of love and energy that I have, because ultimately I love being a mom. I always
Yeah,
said
it's
that was my calling. No matter what
beautiful.
I do, when I graduate and pursue a career, nothing's gonna ever come before me being mom. Even
Right.
if I never work a day, that's it really just comes down to nothing's gonna come first before me being mom. And so I feel like ultimately there needs to be more, of women like that who wanna wear that hat, because we can't all, be the career woman. We can't,
Right.
everybody, we
Right.
can't all be there, so I applaud those who do, because we need those women who want to go out and
Absolutely.
show that, that you can do this, and anything's possible, and you can bring home the bacon. I see this lady on Instagram. Her husband is a stay-at-home husband, and
Mhm.
she's a physician. So it's like, I feel like the dynamic of somebody raising the kids, though, is
It's
is
important.
what's important. That's what's
Right.
important. It doesn't matter who it is.
Right.
Somebody being at home raising the kids is definitely important. But as far as the whole healing process, with women today, I do feel like, maybe some therapy might help. Some I do know.
Some therapy, girl. A lot of it. Okay.
Because then, because women, how we get, once we get broken, we be broke, and we be like, and
Right.
I feel like I see that a lot with a lot of women. Like, they be damaged. They be like,
Girl.
I had, they be like, I had this relationship and that relationship, and I gave my all. And I sometimes be sitting there thinking, like, girl, you should have never gave Bobby your all, girl. He wasn't even worth it.
Before we get to this comment, because that is a really, really good comment there. That you said that. I gave him my all. I was all I
No,
needed
he
to
wasn't even
help.
worth it,
Let
girl.
me take a comment off for a minute. Um, this is why, and I stand on this 10 toes down.
Yeah.
This is why discernment is so important. It's so important. And it's so important to be equally yoked.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important. I cannot stress this enough,
Yep.
because when you go and you're jumping in relationship to the next relationship to the next relationship to the next, and you're not taking any time to heal in
Yep.
between, everything that came from those past relationships, the ones that didn't work out,
Yep.
you're bringing them into current ones.
Mm-hmm.
And when you finally meet a man who is the man, everything he does looks foreign to you. It looks foreign. And so, because you have this wall up, because you now have these trust issues, because you haven't taken the time to heal, that man looks like a red flag. That man looks like a problem, when in fact, he might just be the person for you. But
Yep.
because you didn't take the time to heal, because you didn't take that time to spend in isolation with you and God, because you didn't take that time to figure out what you want, who you are, the kind of spouse you want to be. You didn't take that time to enjoy your life and just become whole.
Mm-hmm.
You've now taken all those past relationships, and now now the man who is for you, he's come,
Mm-hmm.
he's there, but you're not ready.
You're not ready.
You're not ready for that.
You're not ready.
And so
The
now
minute
you
you,
bring conflict into that that situationship. Now you bring conflict into that relationship. I am a strong believer in hurt people hurt people.
definitely.
And when you're not healed, see, the problem probably wasn't the issue probably wasn't your problem. It probably wasn't you. Maybe you weren't the one that did anything, but
Mm-hmm.
you are also responsible for your healing.
Mm-hmm.
You are
Mm-hmm.
responsible for your healing. We can sit and be like, okay, yeah, we go through all these things, and I went through this and I went through that. Yeah, you went through that, but are you going to stay in that?
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, are you going to heal and come from that?
That's right.
Because not one, two men, this man over here and this man over here, they ain't the same man. They ain't the same one.
Nope.
And you can be blocking your blessing. You can be stopping your husband from coming your way just because you are not healed. And
Yep.
if you're not careful, you can go into something else that can destroy you even more because you're not healed.
That's right. That's right.
And your insecurities can hurt other people. And so I think it's the back to what I can't say your name, honey. I'm sorry, Dantea. Let me know if that's right. Back to that, and what she said is the lack of accountability. it's a lack of accountability, and a lot of people don't want to be accountable for what it is that they are that they have done wrong, and for the healing that they have to go through. They A lot of people don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to forgive. They rather stay in that hurt place and have these hurt walls, and then they go into all these other relationships and hurt other people. And for me, that is not okay.
It's not. It's not at all. Because you know, you gotta believe nobody's perfect, right?
Right.
Nobody's perfect. Not
Right.
not man, not woman. They're gonna always be. There's gonna all something's gonna happen. Even in the most perfect relationship, there's gonna be some
There's gonna be
kind
conflict.
there's gonna be some kind of conflict.
Right.
There's gonna be something, and so if you're not healed from a previous relationship, and the conflict arises in this relationship, what do you know, it's like, what happens? Are you gonna be triggered, and are you gonna go off, and
Right.
you
Right.
cussing, you screaming,
Right.
that's the part that where that healing comes in, because no, we have to know how to deal with these conflicts when they arise, because
Right.
they will come, like
It
I
will
said,
come.
that's what we're
Right.
speaking on. 15 years, I'm being as honest as I wholeheartedly can. There's gonna be conflict, like I
Hmm.
said, there were times where, going back, 15 years ago, in the beginning of the marriage, like I said, 22 years, so when we were early on young, there was button heads.
Hmm.
We're you cussing, I'm cussing.
Right.
Something might have flew across the room. At one point. So,
Sure.
so it definitely happens. And
Hmm.
so if you're constantly going through those relationships, like, okay, you in a relationship like that, you say, I'm out. You end up in another relationship, and when conflict arises, you still screaming and hollering and doing this and doing that, and then you say, I'm out. And then it's the same thing. When
It's a
we
cycle, and you're
it's the
hurting other
cycle. It's the
people along
cycle
the
of the
way.
hurt, right? We have,
Right.
because when you're not hurt, and when you're more healed, you're more peaceful. And I can speak
Hmm.
on that from a personal experience. Me being submissive and being patient and being calm, is that was part of my healing journey.
Hmm.
I gave everything up, and I gave it to God. And
Hmm.
I let God, lead the way as to how this relationship is gonna go. Like I said, I just be the wife that I know I should be, you
Hmm.
know, and
Hmm.
that means not going off and not cursing and screaming, and not, I'm not saying that
Right. Right.
I'm not saying there ain't times where I might say something, but
Hmm.
we don't even get there no more, because we don't.
Right.
There's no point.
Right.
When we have a conflict, it's just communication now. It's not like he said something that just teed me off, and now I'm blue, and now I'm going off, and that. No, because I'm healed to a place where I ain't blue like that.
Hmm.
Shoot,
Hmm.
he might have, if I'm more understanding as to where he's coming from. He leave the
Hmm.
house to go to work, dealing with other people. Yeah, I'm dealing with my kids, but he dealing with other random folks
Hmm.
all day.
Hmm.
So, I need to be understanding as to, where his energy is coming from.
Hmm.
And what I realized, as far as, male and female, us, we get so emotional and get loud, and all that do is trigger them to not ain't
Hmm.
loud. And what I've
Hmm.
learned is, when I don't get loud, it ain't
You gonna get loud, right?
nobody loud.
Hmm.
Ain't nobody loud. Even if we disagree, it really depends on how, like,
You
yeah,
come in and say hello.
the man is the leader, but we are the backbone of the leader. Ultimately, I feel like I'm the leader, and kind of just make him feel like he's the leader. But that's kind of how I be feeling like, because everything is revolving around me.
Hmm.
I'm mom, I'm wife. All the decisions. Like he makes the decisions, but ultimately he'll come and confirm. Is
Hmm.
this what we doing? It's just what
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do. There are times where he's firm on something, and that's why I take the step back because I'm. Are you sure? Do you want to?
Right.
Even if I don't agree, even if
Right.
I don't agree,
Right.
that was part of my healing and learning process. I'm not. I chose this man as my husband. I chose him,
Mm-hmm.
so that means I'm choosing him to lead and make this choice that for the family. If he say this is something that he want to do, I just say okay, whether I agree with it or not, and we gonna ride it out.
Mm.
We gonna ride it and see how it's gonna go.
Let's go ahead and touch her first comment because she just left something, girl. I'm gonna have to have you on the show too. It
Hey
says,
Dante, hey Dante, girl.
I feel like another reason is the lack of communities. Back in the day, everyone helped each other and keep kids on the straight and narrow. Now you can't say anything to somebody's kids. That is true. It
See,
takes a village. I
yes, you do.
stand by that. I believe that wholeheartedly. If you see my kids doing something wrong and I'm not there, check them.
See,
Check
see.
them. Say something because they likely know better, but kids are kids. Kids are kids.
Exactly.
I expect children to be children. I
Yep.
expect for them to try things when you're not looking. I expect for them to cuss when they at school. You know what I'm saying? And so if my children are doing something that is inappropriate, that is not okay, say something to them. Do not allow them to do something that you know is inappropriate. And oh, I ain't gonna say nothing because I'm scared of what she gonna say or think. I ain't gonna say nothing. None of that. As long as you ain't look, as long as you ain't cussing at my kids, I don't curse at my kids. You don't curse at my kids. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're not being overly aggressive or anything like that, I trust your judgment if I'm leaving you with my kids. Say something to them because it does take a village.
Yes, it do.
It
Yes,
takes a
it do.
village.
It
And
sure do.
so, what is your last comment? A lot of people look for happiness in others. Ooh, that part alone is damaging a lot of people when they are looking for happiness in others. It's
True.
easy to point the finger elsewhere. Yes, it is. A smaller amount of people understand that you create your own happiness and no one can control that. They look for what they want in others without fully understanding what they want in or from themselves. Healing can begin once people explore their inner selves and tackle the issues. It's very important to take time to discover yourself to get off the path of destruction.
Amen.
That is all facts. All
Oh,
facts. That is
amen.
one thing you said. A lot of people look for happiness in others. That's one thing that I can attest to myself personally. When I was married, I had my husband on such a high pedestal that I looked for him to do everything for me.
Yeah.
You need to make me happy.
You're supposed to be my husband,
You
right?
supposed to be my husband. You make me happy. You do this. You do that. And I had
Mm-hmm.
him on such a high pedestal. We set ourselves up for failure
Mm-hmm.
and disappointment
Mm-hmm.
when you forget that people, even your husband,
Yep.
are just people.
Yep.
And for that, for me, it also taught me that there's a really thin line between idolizing and love.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not careful, and I don't know who this is for, but if you're not careful, you'll be so deeply in love with this person that you are now idolizing who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it had became for me. I
Mm-hmm.
went from, okay, yeah, I loved him,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like him. But I still want to be everything that he wants me to be. And I
Mm-hmm.
forgot who it was that the Lord has called me to be. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's also that as well. We have to start taking accountability. Women, wives, women who are single, in just relationships, you
Mm-hmm.
have to take accountability for your parts in these relationships and making it work.
Yes,
When
we.
you go and you depend on a man to solely make you happy, you need to make me happy. You need to make me happy. When that's what you're doing, something is off. And you probably need to come out of that relationship and figure out who you are. Figure
Mm-hmm.
out why you yourself aren't happy, aren't waking up happy. Why are you depending on someone else to make you happy, to do this for you?
Mm-hmm. That's right. You right, girl. Yes. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So, but this is look, I I was one of those people where, okay, I'm separated, I'm divorced. What did I learn from this?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of harsh realities and harsh things that I had to look at in myself and say, where did you mess up here?
Mm-hmm.
And when people go through these situations or go through breakups, they don't want to look at themselves in the mirror and say, what did I do wrong? It is easier to point and blame the finger. It is easier to say, well, he just didn't make me happy. It's
Mm-hmm.
easier for a lot of people to do that, but you have to take accountability. It doesn't take away what they did wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
you do have to say, okay, wait, this is me. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. I went to a women's meeting at church when I was still living in North Carolina. I hadn't moved yet, and I was living in North Carolina. And the first lady asked, she asked, "What woman do you remind yourself of in the Bible?"
Mm-hmm.
And God dropped it immediately on me. And I want to say that because I felt embarrassed about being this type of woman in my
Mm-hmm.
marriage. And I let the whole service go through. And God is like, you better say something. So I'm like, okay, I raised my hand. I have an answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
I have been more like a Delilah.
Mm-hmm.
I manipulated my husband with sex in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that now
Mm-hmm.
and not have a problem because I know it's a testimony behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I was embarrassed because
Mm-hmm.
I had been manipulating my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And after I said that, I prayed and I asked God, I said, Lord, show me who I am. And he did that. And
Mm-hmm.
you can do one or two things with that. You can run away from what he's showing you, or you can accept accountability and recognize and understand that you need to heal. You have to make a change. And not everything that they did was a problem. Maybe you were the problem.
Mm-hmm. You got to be able to be real with yourself. If you can't keep it 100 with yourself, you know, even behind closed doors, when you
Mhm.
go sit alone, you have to. You have
Yes.
if you can't, say it to other people and say, "Hey, I did this. I was the problem." Maybe that may be hard, but you got to be able to do it to yourself. You
Right.
have to, because that's when the changing and the healing comes from, and the bettering of yourself.
Yep.
You never change if you never say I was the problem. Because if you never think that what you did was wrong, you're gonna continue to you would
You're
do
going
it
to continue to
again.
do it.
You're gonna
Hmm.
continue to do it. You can't, like I said, as far as me, I didn't we I understand, this journey definitely took some healing. And another thing that I want to touch on when it comes to accountability, I let my accountability lead his accountability. You know,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
he'll play off of, you see me saying, right, I was wrong, and then the next time when he might have did something, he'll go, "You right, I was." It makes you more comfortable. It made
Hmm.
us more comfortable in this, to be able to hold ourselves accountable in a time where you wasn't right. And
Hmm.
so that's definitely something that has played a role into the longevity of how we ended up here.
Hmm.
Because there has been times where, like I said, that was part of my healing process over the years. I know I wasn't right at times. I know I probably popped off and said something that I probably shouldn't have said, took it to a whole nother level. And I had to realize, that's not right. I shouldn't have did that. And
Hmm.
now, as far as holding myself accountable, like I said, in this day and in this point in the relationship, there's no reason to even, you know, get angry or get upset. It really isn't, because I'm healed and I feel like I don't, I'm understanding.
Hmm.
I feel like the hurt, and the anger came from a place of not understanding. Not
Hmm.
understanding what other person was coming from, and and ultimately probably not caring either.
Hmm.
At
Hmm.
the time, you don't care about what he going through or how he feeling. All I care about is what I'm going through or how I'm feeling. You
Hmm.
come in talking about your hard day outside the house, and I'm talking, you ain't hearing me about my hard day inside the house. And it's like you got two people who sitting here going back and forth looking for the other person to care about what the other one is going through, you know.
Hmm.
And so somebody has to start, somebody has to start. And
It
like I
does. It has to start
somebody got to start.
somewhere. It has to
Somebody
start
got to.
somewhere. And I
Yep.
think what it is another thing that kills relationships and stop people from being accountable is pride.
Yep.
I know that's something else I had to admit by myself. I was a very prideful person. Pride can kill a
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It can kill a
Yep.
marriage.
That's
I
my
know
husband.
this
Very proud.
firsthand experience. I know this seeing other people's marriage be destroyed, or even not just marriages, but just relationships as a whole, where pride is killing the relationship just because you can't simply say, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's easier for you to blame things on other people than to take accountability. But
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you were just taught this from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You owe you are doing your children a disservice
Yep.
by not teaching them how to apologize.
That's right.
You are doing
Amen.
your children a serious disservice
Amen.
by
Amen.
not teaching them how to be accountable.
Amen.
And so, pride can really, it stems, it can start from a young age, and it can stem and grow into something really, really ugly if you don't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Dante, yes, and we also have to have people around us that's willing to keep us accountable, right?
That's
Real
right.
friends. And you seem to lose the fake friends once you get married. Girl, look, let me tell you,
I told you
okay?
I ain't got none. I told
Let me
you
tell you.
I told
You just marrying him for the money. What money?
you. What?
What money? I make more money than him. What you talking about?
Say what money, girl?
What money? This man ain't got no money.
I told
But
you
generally,
I don't have no
people that mean you or your spouse no good. When you are married, you have to move in unity. Yes, the two becomes one. You
That's
have to
right.
forgive and move forward, but must defend the line against the outside stresses that tend to be against your marriage. Absolutely,
Absolutely.
1000%. Let no man, no person, no thing come in between husband and wife.
Yep. Yep.
Let nothing come in between husband and wife. I'm so passionate on that when it comes to marriage,
Yep.
and what God says marriage is, and what He says a husband is, and what He says a wife is. That is absolutely 1000% true.
Yep.
Absolutely a
It
thousand percent
really
true.
is. I honestly feel like that, with us, neither one of us having outside sources,
Mm-hmm.
it just made it just be us. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, I'm very firm on all these, friends and this. Like, I don't feel like, you should have friends of the opposite sex. I don't. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying you can't have people that you communicate with from time to time, maybe in some kind of a work setting or a social setting and stuff like that. But I just don't see, for a longevity in a marriage, the whole, oh, my best friend is a guy or my
Mm-mm.
best friend
Yeah.
is a girl kind of a thing. I don't believe in that. I don't think that it's healthy,
Healthy. Yeah.
at all. I mean, it's not that healthy for a female when she has this whole outlet of girlfriends and she's going
Who
there.
ain't never been married? They
That's
single.
not
They ain't
healthy
gonna never
either.
get married.
Never get
Girl, let me tell you. Look,
That's
they
not, that's not healthy either.
girl.
All this advice, like I said, like we both know, and Dante as well. This thing is not easy.
No.
So you don't need a whole bunch of folks over here who are not there, who don't know what it's like, who, yeah, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
those are the hard times, and you have a hard time with your spouse, and you run to go, talk to your girlfriends about it, and they be then, pumped you up to pack up and leave. Sure,
Girl.
you be
And
to
next
pack
thing you
up,
know, you out in the street with
you
kids.
outside.
And
They
you
stay
like,
in
what
that,
happened? That's because you
exactly.
listen to Shanae and them who ain't never been married,
You ain't
ain't
never
had
been
no man,
married,
probably ain't gonna never have no man. And
and they
and
and
you
now you
taking
and that,
advice,
yeah,
marriage advice from single people. That's
yeah.
the worst thing to do.
And
That's
now you
the
back at the bar with
worst
them,
thing.
you know, 4 nights a week. you sitting there thinking like, dang, I could have worked it out with my husband. Shoot, I don't like this.
Girl,
you know,
that's the worst thing you can do. Because I know, see, with me, when
mhm.
I was separated, and we got to end this episode, but I definitely got to have you back. But when I got separated and I was going through my divorce, and they was like, I would have people, I'm thinking about getting married. I was like, don't do that.
See,
Don't do that. I said it's
because
gonna be the
you
worst mistake
speaking
of my
from
life. That
what
was
you feel like
horrible.
you know at the time. Yep. You
Right. And
like,
so, but now I'm such an advocate for marriage because I had to go through that healing. I had to go through. I was still hurt. I was still in a bad place. But if you would have asked me
yeah,
5 years ago, I'm thinking about getting married. I'm like, I'm telling you,
I
save
agree.
yourself. Don't do
I
it. you
I've
know.
been there. I've been there myself. I definitely know. Like that's why I say 6 months, 6 months a year. Everything goes through these
hmm
cycles. I want to ask you, Shantae, would you ever get married again?
Yes, absolutely. I want to get married again.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. That's great.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
such a huge advocate for marriage. I'm really big on families. I'm really big, especially Black families, and them sticking together and being together. I'm really, really
Right.
big on that. And so, yes, I'm a huge advocate for it. I would love to get married again. I have me a person, my person.
Okay.
He's my person.
Look at the glow on your face, girl.
He's my person.
That's a beautiful thing.
But yeah, I'm definitely for it. He was not a one and done. It was a lesson.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate because we did have kids, and our kids also suffered
Yeah.
from us separating.
Yes.
But it was a lesson to be learned. I'm just glad I learned the lesson, and I didn't continue to stay hurt and hurt other people.
And that's another thing as far as when you spoke about, black on black marriages
hmm
is, you take, the struggle from the black woman, the
hmm
struggle from the black man, and you put it together. And that also makes it hard because then we could talk about the whole interracial
And I've
boom.
done that. I've done that too. Shoot, I ain't look. I ain't judging, girl.
They all discriminate
Look,
there.
I didn't dip my toes a few times.
And
Okay.
I've heard that it's easier when because I've heard from a family member who has a spouse of the opposite race, and they'll say well, it's easier, they don't have the same struggle like we
Mm-hmm.
come from, and so I guess their energy might be different. I guess it's not so defensive at
Mm-hmm.
times. I'm not saying that their marriages probably don't have no ups and downs or whatever, but I do hear that it's hard with where we all come from with the black man, the black woman. It
Mm-hmm.
is. So I do celebrate where I am because I
You
feel
see
like
it, yeah.
ultimately,
It's beautiful.
we have come through the storms and made it here. But this show was great, though, girl.
Thank you. I'm definitely gonna have you back. And that is a topic I would like to touch on interracial relationships
Yes,
because
ma'am.
the man who I married was black. The
Yes,
man I'm talking to now is black. I have dated different men. I've
yes.
dated white men. I dated a guy from Australia, a Mexican
Oh,
dude, a Puerto Rican dude, a
yeah,
German dude.
yeah.
I feel like I'm missing somebody, but I have, and I'll tell you it can't be a struggle. It can be a challenge. It
Hmm.
can be a huge challenge. I'll never forget it. And dang, we can't stay long, y'all, because we go over 2 hours. But um, the biggest thing I think for me with every last white guy that I dated, there was somebody in the family who was racist,
For real.
and it can cause conflict and issues if you don't know how to challenge those. The
Hmm.
last guy I was with, I thought I was pregnant by. We thought we were going to have a baby, and he was like, "I'm not telling my mom or my dad. Like
Oh,
they will never meet my baby."
what?
That can be a huge problem when you don't know how to
Hmm.
work around it, when you don't know how to adjust around it, because there are still people out there who
Hmm.
are like, no,
Hmm.
forget the fact that it's a man and a woman. They're like, nah, you
Hmm.
she brown, you're white, or whatever the case may be, and you're automatically you're shunned. And the way that you're treated, the way that those relationships are treated between a woman and a man who are of different races, it's a huge issue.
Mhm.
Now, I've also, because like I said, I haven't just dated black men, I haven't just dated white men,
Mhm.
but when it comes to having a black family, I understand that as well,
Mhm.
because black family right now is being attacked.
It is. Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
it's not just right now, it's been being attacked.
Yeah.
If we're just talking about specifically of black families and African American families, where
Yeah.
households and fathers are being torn out of households.
Mhm.
And so, whole different topic, whole
Yes.
different day, because I got all of that. But
Yes.
I would love to have you back for that one for sure with the black
Definitely.
family. Absolutely. Thank you so much. What'd you say, Dante? I had kids with a Mexican. It was a struggle and a challenge. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Girl, I had a rainbow tribe, girl. Me too. Yeah. I have experience
So
in
y'all
it.
say it's a struggle. It might be a different struggle, but it's a struggle all the way around.
Yeah,
See?
I lived in Colorado for a while, and in Colorado, there's a lot of Spanish and Hispanic people in Colorado. And if they in Colorado, where I live in Colorado Springs, if they caught their Mexican son talking to a black girl, or
Oh,
their black daughter talking to, I mean, their Mexican daughter talking to a black boy, it like the way that they're treated is horrible.
wow.
It's horrible. And
Wow.
so it is. It's out there. It's out there. It's out there. It's unfortunate, but it is there. Um, and it's so much to cover. So much to cover. But again, this is the love talk. And
Yes.
I ain't going nowhere. So we're gonna talk about all of this. Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this. I really, really appreciate it. This is awesome. Thank you so much for all your feedback and your good advice for people out there. And yeah, I just really appreciate it.
I appreciate you so much for having me. This was a blessing the way we met and and just made it happen. So what you have right here is awesome. It's exciting, and I'm definitely got a new follower now, girl. I
Oh,
know. So until next time, Shantae. Until next
until
time,
next time. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining. You enjoy the rest of your night.
you too. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye. You have a great day as well, a great night as well, Dante. Thank you both so much for being here. Miko always coming through, coming through, coming through, coming through. Dante, thank you so much. I'm definitely gonna have to have you on. I hope that you're a new fan as well. I hope that you're a new fan as well. This is the Love Talk Podcast, you all, where we talk about everything love, 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 love. I hope that you all enjoyed Miss Dayna with us today. And whoop, okay, girl. That's what I'm saying. Show up. Show up, show up, show up. Again, keep my co-host Janaea and you guys' prayers. She's out. She's sick right now, but I want y'all to keep her in your prayers. Thank you all so much for rocking out with me. You can find me on Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon Music. I feel like I missed some places. But anyway, you can find me everywhere. Okay, the love talk is going everywhere. The love talk is going everywhere. Thank you all again so much for joining me, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.